what do you look for, groom for, and nurture in the people you hire or advise management of the boards you serve on?
Yeah, so when it comes to leadership and some of the people I'd want to, spend more time on and help develop and work with, I look for people that have similar values as we've talked earlier in the podcast about, honesty, trustworthiness, mutual respect. But I also look for people who are humble, who aren't showboating and patting themselves on the back every other second. So I think that's important to be humble. I also look for people that give full credit to their team when things go right and take responsibility when things go wrong, because you're going to have both. And I think it's important to distinguish that a good leader will take that responsibility when things don't quite go according to plan, and then let their team shine when things go really well. So that I call those are really team players that we have, and also lifelong learners. That goes back to the topic we just had on curiosity, and people that are curious want to continue to learn, whether it's formal learning in a classroom or learning by going out and visiting other retailers, or hooking up with suppliers. I remember you mentioned P&G. When we went to, I believe Cincinnati is where their head office is. We went through their learning labs there, and it was phenomenal. The whole team came back with new ideas and new insights that the P&G shared. So that's part of, I think, leadership, is being able to do those things and wanting, not just being able to, but actually wanting to do it and craving it. I think that creates great people, great leaders. And of course, you have to have a spirit and an energy to win. So you can have everything else, but you got to have that ability to get out there and win against others in the market. The other thing I try to help our leaders on is I use what's called PI, and PI stands for performance, image, and exposure. And it's
Mhm.
really the team, helping both their own career, but also their team's career in terms of managing the performance, image, and exposure on everything that you do. So really ensuring that you keep that in the forefront, and developing that in your career.
I'm very familiar with performance, image, and exposure,
Mhm.
but I'm very curious in just trying to understand. So, how do you orchestrate that within your teams? How does that come to life?
Yeah, so let's say, for example, with my own direct reports, I mean, first of all, they have to perform, so that's the performance component.
Sure.
Image, it's having like the conversation about how they're showing up and how they're communicating. So that's really their image, and then exposure is getting them, like, in my case, I'll have some of my team do reports to the board, or make presentations instead of me doing the presentation. They do the presentations, or just giving them exposure, whether it's on those sorts of things, or having them chair a committee, or various things to help them grow. So it's all three of those components, and again, I'll talk to my leaders about ensuring that their leaders, the people that report to them, also have those opportunities to have exposure, to have those conversations around image, and of course they have to perform. Your KPIs have to be met and exceeded. So that'll help drive your career.
What unifies the talent that do work at BDC is everybody is all in on the mission. Like, we want Canadian small and medium sized businesses to be amazing. We want Canada to be amazing at building and nurturing those businesses. So when we look for talent, we look for people, and I would say people are attracted to us because they too care about that. They care about Canada. They care about seeing essentially the fabric of Main Street, which is small and medium sized businesses. They care about seeing that succeed. So that's really exciting, and
Mhm.
it's a fundamental thing that I look for when I talk to people or interview people who are interested in joining, is like, do you also care about that? Because we're all in on it. Um, I, of course, also look for people with passion and a genuine interest in sustainability. And, when I say genuine interest, sometimes it manifests as formal education. And actually, we look for, formal education in, foundational things like business and finance, economics, science, engineering, technology, law, any you know, of course, any formal education is good. It shows that you know how to learn. It shows that you can commit yourself to getting a degree. But I also look to see what people have done in either their formal or more likely their personal activities, their extracurricular activities around environmental and social issues. So, you know, have they been on committees? Have they done special projects, either at school or at work? Did they do volunteer work related to social or environmental causes? I'm a little suspicious of people who say they care passionately about sustainability, but they don't have a formal indication that they've rolled up their sleeves and given their time or their brain power to something along those lines. And yeah, you've got to be interested and passionate, and you've got to be committed to entrepreneurs and entrepreneurship as well.
Sure, absolutely.
My advice to other leaders, being a leader is hard. And I'll say my advice to other leaders is take time for yourself to just be still and to listen, to listen. I think awareness as a leader is very important. Sometimes you can get so caught up in leading, in an active leading, that you don't listen or you don't become aware or self-aware of what's happening around you. And so I try to take time to be intentional around listening, being aware, and just and being still enough to see what's happening in the world around me, and then I think take all of that and just add in a lot of empathy and understanding. And I think, you could be a great leader. I lead from the heart. I lead because I want to help other people. And I've had those experiences. And if you haven't had any experiences that relate to your audience, try to get as close to that as you can, just dive into the world, a little bit more so you can have a better understanding, because it'll help you connect the dots of why people act like they do, what people need from you and what they need from leaders. So just look around, be still, take some time to yourself to look around and be aware. Yeah.
Lead from your heart.